Hello again everybody, it's time for another chapter of our book, The Folk of the Faraway Tree. Last time I set you the challenge of trying to find the definitions of some words that were appearing above me, so hopefully you were able to find out what all of those words mean and maybe even use them in a sentence. Now today it's chapter 5, but I'm not going to tell you the title of our chapter today because that's part of my challenge with today's chapter, because I want you to have a think about what book or what fairy tale, it's a bit of a clue, this chapter could be referring to. So pay attention to our chapter. Chapter 5. Joe, Beth and Franny and the others went on with their meal. They finished the hot cold goodies that they had started and then had some pink desserts that Moonface had made in the shape of animals. They were so nicely made that it seemed a pity to eat them. "We'd better save some for Connie, hadn't we?" said Beth. "Let's see if she's outside the door. I expect she's standing there sulking." Moonface opened the door. There was no one there. He called out, "Connie! Connie!" There was no answer. "She's gone that down the tree, I should think," he said. "I'll just call down to Dame Washalot and see if she saw her." So he shouted down the tree to the old dame. But Dame Washalot shook her head. "No," she shouted back. "No one has gone past since you came up in the basket, Moonface. No one at all." "Funny," said Moonface, going to tell the others. "Where's she gone then?" "Up through the cloud," said Silky. "No. Surely she wouldn't have done that by herself," said Joe in alarm. "Look, Moonface, there's a red squirrel who wants to speak to you." The red squirrel came in, trying to hide a hole in the old sweater he was wearing. I heard you calling Connie, Moonface," he said. Well, she's gone up the ladder through the cloud. I expect she's in the land of marvels. I saw her go." "Good heavens," cried Joe, jumping up in alarm. "Why, the land is ready to leave here at any minute, didn't you say, Silky? What a silly she is. We better go up and get her back at once." "I thought I heard the humming noise that means any land is moving on," said Moonface, looking troubled. "I don't believe we can save her. I'll run up the ladder and see." He climbed up to the highest branch and went up the ladder. But there was nothing to be seen at all, except a swirling, misty cloud. He came down again. You can see here the ladder that goes up to the different lands. "The land of marvels is gone," he said, "and the next land hasn't even come yet. I don't know what it will be either. Well, Connie's gone with the land of marvels. She would do a silly thing like that." Beth went pale. But what can we do about it?" she said. "Whatever can we do? We're in charge of her, you know. You really can't let her go like this. We must find her somewhere." "How can we?" said Silky. "We know that once the land has moved on, it doesn't come back for ages. Connie will have to stay there. It might do her good to be there for a while anyway. She's not a very nice person." "Oh, Silky, don't you understand?" said Joe. He looked very worried. "She's our friend, and although she's silly and annoying at times, we're responsible for her and have to look after her and help her. How can we get to her?" "You can't," said Moonface. Saucepan had been trying to follow what had been said, and he looked very concerned. He didn't like Connie, and he thought it was a very good thing she had gone off in the land of marvels. But he did know a way of getting there, and he badly wanted to tell the others. But they all talked at once, and he couldn't get a word in. So in despair, he clashed his saucepans and kettles together so violently that everybody jumped and stared round at him. "He wants to say something," said Joe. "Go on, out with it, Saucepan." Saucepan came out with it in a rush. "I know how to get to the land of marvels without waiting for it to arrive here again," he said. "You can get to it from the land of giants, which joins onto it." "Well, I don't see how that helps us," said Moonface. "We don't know how to get to the land of giants either, silly." "No, it's not hilly," said Saucepan, going all deaf again. "It's quite The giants have made it flat by walking about on it with their enormous feet. What is he talking about? Said Beth. Saucepan, stop talking about the geography of Giantland and tell us how to get there. How to get there, did you say? Said Saucepan, putting his left hand behind his ear. Yes, said everyone else. Well, that's easy, said Saucepan, beaming round. Same way as Jack and the Beanstalk did, of course. Up the beanstalk. Everyone stared at Saucepan in silence. They'd all heard of Jack and the Beanstalk, of course, and how he climbed up the beanstalk into Giantland. But where's the beanstalk? Asked Joe at last. Where Jack lives, said Saucepan, suddenly hearing well again. I know him quite well. Married a princess and lives in a castle. I never knew that he was an old friend of yours, said Moonface. How did you come to know him? I sold him a lot of saucepans and kettles, said the Saucepan Man. He was giving an enormous dinner party and they didn't have enough things to cook everything in, so I came along at just the right moment and sold him everything I'd got. Very lucky for him. And for you too, grinned Moonface. Well, you'd better take us up to your Jack, Saucepan. We'll go up the beanstalk and try to rescue that silly little Connie. We better not all go, said Joe, looking round at the little company. I must go to show you the way, said Saucepan, who loved making a journey. And I must go, of course, said Moonface. And I shall come with you to look after you, said Silky firmly. You always get into such silly scrapes if I'm not there to see you. And I shall certainly come because I was really in charge of Connie, said Joe. And we're not going to be left out of any adventure like this, said Beth at once, are we, Franny? Well, it looks as if we're all going then, said Moonface. All right, let's go. But don't let's get caught by any giants, for goodness sake. Must we go through the giant land to get to the land of marvel, Saucepan? Must, said Saucepan cheerfully. The giants won't hurt you. They're quite harmless nowadays. Well, come on, down the tree we go, and then to the other end of the woods. So down the tree they went, and the red squirrel bounded with them to the bottom. They wished they could skip down as he did. It didn't take him more than half a minute to get up or down. They reached the bottom and then thought how silly they were not to have gone down the slippery slip. Shows how worried we were not to have thought of that, said Beth. Which way now, Saucepan? Saucepan set off down a narrow, winding path. This way. Look, under this bush and across this field, we've got to get to the station, he said. Station? What station? Said Joe in astonishment. To get the train for Jack and the Beanstalk's castle, said Saucepan. How silly are you all of a sudden, Joe? They suddenly came to a small station set under a row of tall trees. A steam train came puffing in, looking like an old wooden toy that the children had got at home. They got in and it went off, puffing hard as if it was out of breath. You can see here, this is the train that's going to take them to Jack's castle. They passed through many mysterious little stations but didn't stop. I said Beanstalk Castle to the engine, so it will go straight there, said Saucepan. The other passengers didn't seem to mind going to the Beanstalk Castle at all. They sat and talked or read and took no notice of the new little group of friends. The train suddenly stopped and hooted. Here we are, said Saucepan. Come on, everyone. They got out. The engine gave another hoot and went rattling off. There's Jack. Hi, Jack, yelled Saucepan, and rushed towards a sturdy young man in the distance. They shook hands, all Saucepan's kettles and pans rattling excitedly. What a pleasure, cried Jack. Who are all these people? Have they come to stay with me? I'll go and tell the princess to make up extra beds at once. No, don't do that, said Moonface. We haven't come to stay. We just want to know, can we please use your beanstalk, Jack? Hasn't grown this year yet, said Jack. I forgot to plant any beans, you see. And the giants were a bit of a nuisance last year, always shouting rude things down the beanstalk to me. Oh, said Joe, staring at Jack in dismay. What a pity. We particularly wanted to go up your beanstalk. Well, I can plant the beans now and they'll grow, said Jack. They're magic ones, you know. They grow as you watch them. Oh, good, said Moonface. Could you plant some, do you think? We'd be very grateful to you. Certainly, said Jack, and he felt about in his pocket. I'd do anything to help old Saucepan. His kettles and saucepans are still going strong in my kitchen. Never wear out at all. Now, wherever did I put those beans? The others watched anxiously as he turned an odd collection of things out of his pockets. At last came 3 or 4 mouldy-looking beans. Here we are, said Jack. I'll just press them into the ground like this, and now we'll watch them grow. Stand back, please, because they sometimes shoot up very fast. And that's the end of chapter 5. So I want you to have a think. What fairy tale or story do you think they were talking about in that chapter? And see if you can find and read a version of that fairy tale or story. And I'll tell you the name of the chapter next week. I know it's a story that in year 1 we all looked at way back in the autumn term. Thank you for joining me for chapter 5 of our story, and I hope to see you all soon. Bye everybody.